Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a pleasure sharing this content. So today's topic is we are going to discuss about the if-else statements. So basically in the last video we have discussed the simple if statement, and I have left out some topics, so I'm going to cover them this day. So the topics are the real world if statements, multiple statements in within if, the if-else statement example. We are going to discuss about two examples and a summary. So the real world if statements. We have mentioned earlier that the general form of if statement is as follows, which is given here. So if condition and then the statement, right? So basically the condition is given as an expression, which can be an arithmetic expression or any other valid expression, right? So that I have described here, if expression and statement. So what if, so coming to the question, we would all have this question. What if we want to, add multiple statements within an if block? So in the last video, I have described an if block with only single statement, which doesn't need any braces, such as in Python, because a scope of the if block is one statement by default. If you want to override that scope, you would add these braces, right? So that is what this program explains. So it may so happen that in a program we want more than one statement to be executed if the condition following if is satisfied. So if such multiple statements are to be executed, then there must be placed within a pair of braces, as I described here, right? So this one and this one. So basically this example, we are going to calculate the bonus. So the control is going to enter through the main function. Before entering to the main function, it is going to express all. It's going to execute all the header files, and then when the control enters the main function, where we have declared here the variables, and then a print and the scanf statements for the IO functions for the user to for the user to give their input values. And if so here the condition comes, right? So here the year of seniority, which is calculated as given in this arithmetic expression, and this the result of this arithmetic expression is given here, and the condition is given if that arithmetic expression's result is greater than 3, then the bonus is 2500, right? So basically that we print it out. So without these braces, only the bonus, this statement would be executed, because the default state of default scope of the if statement is this, right? So with the braces, this print statement would be executed too. That is what I have missed out in the last video. So in this video, we're going to describe about the if-else statement. Before we are going to describe about the if-else statement, I'm going to give a block diagram of the basic if statement. So the control, as the diagram describes, the control enters, and then it does an arithmetic operation as we have given the input output statements, and then arithmetic operation happens, and the arithmetic operations result is actually checked against a preset value that we have given, which is 3. And if the condition is true, then the true statements will be executed. If the conditions are false, then no statements are executed. The statements after the if block are executed, and the control exits the block, right? So coming to the if else statement, so it's just simple, right? Basically, as if statements, the if statement by itself will execute a simple statement or a group of statements when the expression following if evaluates to be true. That's what we have learned in the if statement, right? So what if we would have another question? What if we have some statements that need to be executed if the statement is false? So that is where this if else statement comes into play, right? So basically the if boolean expression, which gives Boolean expression means that it gives a result of either true or false, or either 1 or 0, right? So if the Boolean expression is true, then the if state, the if block will be executed, and if the Boolean expression given is false, then the else block will be executed. So notice that the expression is given to only if, not to else, right? The Boolean expression is given to if, not else. So this is the basic structure of if-else statement. And coming to an example, so basically this example is very simple. Pretty much you would understand it. Nothing to explain, but I'm going to explain, right? So the control enters the main function, and then we have declared a local variable. So the reason behind this variable being a local variable, even though it is written inside a main function, is that we did not use any user defined functions in the main function. If at all we used any user defined functions in a main function, then this local variable or int a is equal to 100 will become a global variable, which means that this variable can be used in the user defined function and any other functions that are defined inside the main function. So coming to that if statement, so basically the if else statement, right, we are discussing. So if the condition here, the condition is checked. If a is less than 20, then the if block is executed, which is print a is less than 20. So it's just simple. And else, which means that a is greater than 20, then the condition is executed, which is print a is less than, not less than 20. So after we have written a print statement which describes that to display the value of a. So the percentage d, it actually gives the memory location of the a value, right? So we all know that I have described it in the previous videos. So coming to the next example, this is a little bit tough because the variable names are given, in their own gibberish format. So I'm going to explain it anyways. Yeah, the variable names are not that important. You don't have to memorize this example anyways. It's just to give you a perspective of what if else statement is, right? So here the control as usual enters the main function, and we have described here, we have given the variable names, and we have now given a print statement which states print enter basic salary, which means the user who is using this particular program is going to enter, and the entered value is scanned or stored in a memory location by using the scan function. So that we have described here, and the entered value is stored as in a variable name which is bs. So coming to the if block, if bs is less than 1500, then an arithmetic operation is carried out, which is two statements. As you can see here, hra is one statement and da is another statement. So these two statements are going to execute an arithmetic operation. And coming to the else block, here HRA is one arithmetic statement expression, and then DA is another arithmetic expression. So if at all BS is less than 1500, then these statements will be executed. And if at all the BS is not less than 1500, which means it is greater than 1500, then it is going to execute these particular statements inside this block, inside these curly braces, right? So after we notice that the GS is written after the else block, which means that it is a part of the main function which is going to be executed after the else statement. So coming to the block diagram of the given example, so it's just simple, right? As I described earlier, the control enters and we takes that input from the user, and it evaluates the input as it being less than 1500 or greater than 1500. If at all the BS is less than 1500, then it is going to execute the if block. This is the if block. And if at all the BS is greater than 1500, it is going to execute the else block. So any one block is executed at any given point of time based on the condition, right? So if the condition is true, it executes if the condition is false, it executes else. So after this execution process is carried out, the statements exists, and the other statements which are written after the if else block are executed and the control exists, right? So uh, basically we have to remember these points. These are the main points that you have to remember in order to get a broad view of what if else statement really is, right? So the group of statements after the if, upon, and not included the else is called an if block, which means, as I described here, the group of statements from here to here is an if block, and this is an else block. So this is different and this is different. This else does not include in the if. This is a different block, right? So note that the else is written exactly below the if. The statements in the block, if block, and also in the else block are indented, which means the indentation means they are given an indentation of or a blank space, right? So this is just to make you understand easily, right? So had there been any one statement to be executed in the if block and only one statement to be executed in the else block, you could have dropped a pair of braces. So basically, if here we use two statements, right? One statement one and statement two. Had there been only one statement, right? So if we have to execute only HRA and there is no DA, then we need not use these braces. Just as in Python, you would just give these statements alone, because basic scope of if and else statements are one statement, right? So the fourth point notes that if you were to override the scope of else statement, which is one, you would use these braces. That is what the fourth point describes, right? So these are the basic points. And coming to the summary, we have described the real world if statements, and we got a question as of what if we have multiple statements within an if statement. So so there is a solution which I have given you, and then we have described the if else statements and with two examples and block diagrams. So remember, the block diagrams are so important. These make you memorize the if else statements and its purpose. So thank you guys for your support. It's been a pleasure. So the relevant information will be disclosed through our Instagram page through Peace Mountains Youth Group _edu or PMYG _edu, or through our mail Peace Mountains Youth Group @gmail.com. Thank you.